Stephen Miller rejects claim grandmother died of COVID. Stephen Miller, a top advisor to President Donald Trump, is insisting his grandmother did not die of the coronavirus, despite a death certificate that states otherwise. Was it his dad or uncle who blamed the Trump admin for her death? Why's your uncle/dad mad at your boss if it wasn't COVID? Why does the death certificate read COVID? Are you actually human or just a bunch of weasels in a stolen man's skin? His lies are as see-through as his spray on hair. Now we can literally say this weasel would gaslight his own dead grandmother to suck Trump's dick, and we'll be right. This how low can you go game has gotten ridiculous. Just had a conversation with a friend that had COVID. When it first happened, he was very scared and said this thing is real. I thought it was bullshit. Now, 3 months later, he says he overreacted and that COVID is just like the flu. I then asked about his grandmother who died from COVID. He replied, she went into the hospital for a broken hip. She did get COVID while there, but that is not what killed her. They can't even accept reality when it hits home. Don't tell me, but according to Stephen, she what? Died of a liberal hoax. These guys certainly choose interesting hills to die on. Stephen Miller, the grandma killer. His grandmother did not pass away from COVID. She was diagnosed with COVID in March and passed away in July, so that timeline does not add up at all. Imagine lying about the death of your grandmother for political purposes. Was Stephen Miller not hugged enough as a child? I'd appreciate any advice not to have my children grow up to be like that. POS. I mean, if you go on Breitbart, commenters there are convinced that Democratic governors somehow managed to purposely send sick patients to nursing homes so that they could spike the death numbers to make Trump look bad. You are dealing with huge numbers of mentally ill people here, so good luck convincing them otherwise. Literally the definition of gaslighting. Hey Stephen, you are partially responsible for your grandma's death. May that haunt you for the rest of your days before you're welcomed by the fiery gates of hell. 5 head count. Buster Bluth is just waiting for the long-form death certificate. Is this strain of mental illness that's prevalent in the White House contagious, or is it just a social phenomenon that sociopaths gravitate towards one another? This is the level of dishonesty that we are dealing with from this shit show of an administration. In the statement originally released by a relative, they explained in very clear detail that his grandmother died from the long-term complications directly caused by COVID after the infection itself had passed. In his response to that statement, Stephen ignores that clear, provided, explanation and pretends that the original date his grandmother was infected proves she couldn't have died of COVID months later. This is dishonest on every level. He knows it is, but he doesn't care because he's talking to a different audience. No one honestly reading both statements side by side is going to be confused about what's happening. What he intends is for the Republican media and blogosphere to report only his statement without fully quoting the context. They will spread his claim deliberately stripped of context and pretend that the MSM is misrepresenting things or that an honest difference of opinion exists. Neither are true. Fast forward 2 months. If it is ever pointed out that Stephen Miller lied about his dead grandmother for political expediency, you'll get blowback from conspiracy nutters who have taken this misrepresentation after it's been run through several more levels of dishonest embellishment and packaged it together with a few other lies to support insane conspiracy theories. These blatant lies are how the administration responds to every legitimate criticism. Their pet media exists to spread those lies and is happy to oblige. Their voters have been primed to believe that any discrepancy they detect is fine because both sides are dishonest. Shit's fucked up. So let's be honest. He's not rejecting a claim, he's rejecting the truth. Imagine choosing allegiance to Trump over honoring the memory of your grandmother. Thanksgiving is gonna be awkward. It often is said of the Republicans that they'd be willing to sell out their own mother to get ahead. Apparently that was wrong. Turns out they'd actually sell out their own dead grandmother. Forsaking your nana to own the libs. He also went on to say that rumors of him being bald as the day is long were based on the spurious comments from secessionist Democratic mayors and governors and the terrorist group BLM. What a ghoul. His grandmother did not pass away from COVID. She was diagnosed with COVID in March and passed away in July, so that timeline does not add up at all. His grandmother died peacefully in her sleep from old age. I would hope that you would choose not to go down this road. Jesus Christ. People do not simply die of old age. Something fails. If this timeline is true, then it's 999% likely that she died of complications following COVID. Which is basically the same fucking thing. Okay. I reject the claim that Stephen Miller ever had a grandmother, since he's clearly an evil alien sent to wreak havoc on Earth so Earthlings are ultimately easier to harvest. See how we can all make up our own reality? But how can we ever know the truth? Ah yes, my grandma just happened to die with COVID and COVID symptoms but didn't die from COVID, she died from pneumonia. Sure thing, boss. Stephen Miller, a top advisor racist shitbag to President Donald Trump. FTFY. Imagine throwing your grandma's legacy under the bus for fascism. What a ghoul. For a TLDR. Stephen Miller's grandmother had COVID earlier this year, but recovered. Recovered is in quotations because it left her with respiratory complications and no will to eat. Therefore she died several weeks after from complications caused by COVID. Being the tremendous piece of shit that he is, Miller disputes the claim that she died from COVID and instead says she died from old age because she had technically recovered. He's ignoring the fact that the death certificate says complications from COVID, which was pointed out by his uncle. Further, never one to stop digging, Miller is using this to attack the press for politicizing the death of his grandmother, something he in fact is doing by not admitting the truth. Gaslighting again. My grandfather died due to COVID-19. My father doubled down that the disease is not real and it was just pneumonia. I feel bad blaming him for not accepting it, but goddamn people, get a clue. The White House is actively battling a private citizen who has a state death certificate, saying he and his doctor lied about how his mother died. Pure fucking evil. Right now also on Reddit, a Texas hospital is so overrun with coronavirus cases that officials say it will send the patients least likely to survive home to die. https://www. Business Insider. com/Texas Star County Hospital forced choose who sent home die 2020-7. This is also in the /r/politics sub. Yet in this thread, about 25% of replies are saying these COVID deaths are overblown. People are saying that doctors, who are paid a high salary, not a commission, are faking death certificates because somehow that will get the hospitals more money. Yet the evidence is right there. Why do we need freezer trucks to take away corpses if the deaths are overblown? This shitstain and his buddy fascist Fred Flintstone, AG Barr, are the real danger in DC. Change my mind. This is an entirely new level of ass-kissing. I'm almost impressed. There's a conspiracy theory that hospitals are putting COVID-19 as the cause of death for people who died of other causes to boost the number of COVID-19 deaths. Yes, really. It's absolutely batshit crazy. PAR for the course these days, I suppose. Stephen Miller at his dying grandma's bedside interrogating her to see how long she's been a tool of the deep state. That's right, the county medical examiner's office is replete with liberals. Stephen.